Hi, this is Free Thinking Through the Fourth Turning. My name is Sasha Stone. It's too late to cry cancel culture. Why is MAGA always expected to take the high road? For podcast listeners, a tweet from Ross Alerts. Breaking. NBC News is reporting that numerous employees have been fired or placed on leave over comments related to Charlie Kirk. The move has sparked growing concerns about freedom of speech in the workplace, with critics warning that disciplinary actions are creating a chilling effect on open expression. It's funny that they all suddenly care about censorship, free speech, and cancel culture, isn't it? And the chilling effects that had on open expression. Have they looked at Hollywood lately? Ever hear of a culture of silence and a climate of fear that has all but gutted a once thriving industry? Do they remember why Elon Musk had to buy Twitter? How many people did we watch unpersoned, disappeared, and banished from utopia? How many lives have been ruined just for daring to speak the truth about the differences between biological men and women? Remember all lives matter? Remember Blue Lives Matter? Remember the MAGA hat and all the ways people were assaulted, screamed at, spit on, and shunned just for wearing them?
When this Trump-supporting student got attacked just for wearing a MAGA hat, Charlie Kirk fired back. And what he said completely wrecked the entire left.
What happened?
I was walking to Valhalla to get my food exchanged, and PhD student Patrick Mahoney, as well as his accomplice, Gerald Hoff, did not like the hat I was wearing. When my head was down, I made zero eye contact with him. He saw my hat, he ripped the hat off my head, crumbled it. I had to go confront him and say, "What are you doing, dude?" Because he had the hat on it. Then he told me to go get it. I'm sorry. Then, what happened next? He charged at me. Patrick grabbed my chest, slammed it on the road pavement. Then he grabbed my head and also slammed it on the road pavement as hell.
And this was a professor, right? If a conservative professor would have hunted down a Kamala Harris wearing student, it would have been a hate crime and the #1 news story in the country. Now we could barely get attention for a young man who was punched by a professor here at Washington State University.
Do the hundreds of names in the database for cancel culture register at all? Remember the Harper's letter and how so many were canceled just for signing it? Now we're all supposed to feel bad because those who chose to dance on Charlie Kirk's grave are now losing their jobs? Well, my friends, turnabout is fair play. And what drama queens? They get fired and it's the end of the world? They lost their jobs? Try losing everything. Your family, your marriage, your friends, your status. The right doesn't have that kind of power, and besides, no one is banning them from social media for posting things like this. For podcast listeners, a tweet by Bill Madden on September 12th that says truth, and a woman holding a sign that says, "You lost, Confederacy. You lost, Nazi symbol. You're next, MAGA," with 100,000 likes. I know I'm supposed to care and play the game of saying that firing people is wrong. Maybe it's wrong, but honestly, I don't care. If we just move on and pretend all of this is on par with using the wrong pronoun or questioning masks or the results of an election, then how can we ever absorb something as serious as someone being shot and having his throat explode in front of his wife, his kids, and a rally full of students? Here is a video of someone who was there and witnessed it. How can we just move past this with all the usual memes and mocking, sneering posts?
We were on the second or third question. We were probably 20 minutes in, and they were talking about gun violence. I forget the exact question posed, but Charlie was responding to the question about gun violence when his neck exploded. And the shot rang out. It didn't ring out, it cracked out. From like where we were, I heard one rifle shot, and we're down in this pit, lots of concrete and buildings everywhere. It didn't echo, but it made a unique crack kind of report. I had one thought. It was very quick, that maybe it's a joke. Maybe this is a gag. Maybe this is a piece of theater or stagecraft to really like drive home this important topic of gun control that is being debated. That thought did not last long. It's like a super physical reaction that I had to thinking about this. Every time I've tried to like tell like my family like what happened, or like if I think about it, I get these like involuntary shakes. Trauma's a weird thing. He gets shot. Just it looks bad from where we are. We all hit the ground and we're on top of each other, right? I'm on top of some dude, two other dudes are like have fallen on top of me, and I am waiting for more bullets to start raining down into bodies. I'm ready for the mass shooting part to begin, because man, it's the opportunity for it. Like, we're down in this slaughter pit, and it's there are about 5 really scary seconds laying there. You can feel the panic rising. You can hear the panic in people's voices and cries. You can hear the confusion. After about 5 seconds, I think we all realize that automatic rifle fire is not going to start raining down from above. So everybody starts moving at the same time, just getting away.
Look at these awful women mocking Erica Kirk. If they get fired for this, I have not an ounce left in me that cares even a little bit. Maybe that makes me a hypocrite and a bad person, but I would not want these soulless monsters working for me. Here is a video of TikTokers.
If you have not watched the absolutely bizarre video Erica Kirk made about the untimely death of her husband, then go watch it and then let's come back and talk about it. If you are a normal breathing human being with a heart and lungs and actual skin, then you probably watched that and you went, what the fuck? Why is this so weird? Why does this woman come across as an NPC? Well, the answer to that is Christian brainwashing. Her entire life, this woman has been made for this performance. She's been preparing to be a martyr since she was a child, and now she was delivered.
I wouldn't want a guy like this working for me either. Partly because he is awash in mass hysteria and trapped inside a delusion of his own making, and partly because he seems to think it's necessary to keep killing people he thinks are fascists. Here's a TikToker.
To truly understand the ramifications of what happened yesterday in Utah to Charlie Kirk, we need to look back 90 years ago to what happened to 2 Nazi Party members when they were also assassinated. Horst Wessel, who would go on to become one of the images of Nazi martyrdom culture. The other, Ernst von Rath, a diplomat in Paris, which would go to kick off Kristallnacht, or the Night of Shattered Glass, one of the earliest and usually considered the start of the Holocaust. So who was Horst Wessel? Well, he was a perfect young little Nazi. He was an SA member, the Sturmabteilung. He was also a leader in that organization, a storm leader, as they called them. Horst also was a literal pimp. He ran prostitutes, and this is what got him into trouble with some of the local communists, who would go on to shoot him in the literal face. Horst had been active in right-wing politics since he was 15 years old, and it's very important to understand that the Nazi Party was looking for someone to become a martyr. Their chief propagandist, Joseph Goebbels, had already tried to make other people martyrs for the Nazi Party, but in Horst Wessel, he found the perfect figure. Horst had spent much of the last 5 years doing street battles with the socialists and the communists, and being the perfect Nazi Party member. So before Horst was even dead, you had the entire propaganda arm of the party working in overtime to spin this into a major martyrdom cause. You had literally Joseph Goebbels meeting with this man's mother before she went to see him at the hospital. And in Horst, they found the picture-perfect icon of Nazism, and he would go on to inspire many, many things surrounding the culture and cult of Nazi martyrdom. Not only was Horst...
Cancel culture was always about power. It was wrong when it began after Trump's win in 2016. It existed before that, mostly as a joke on Black Twitter and in the murky, icky depths of Tumblr circa 2013. But it became frightening and chilling when institutions got involved. And when the government got involved, it was authoritarianism. Julie Kelly has a story on the crackdown after January 6th that should make anyone's head spin about what they did to American citizens, most of whom were practicing their First Amendment rights when they were treated like terrorists. Kamala Harris herself compared that day with 9/11 and Pearl Harbor, as if to justify everything that was about to happen to them, aka internment camps and Gitmo. From the show trials to the absurd charges thrown at many of them, policing their thought and speech, convicting them in the court of public opinion with spectral evidence, they were accused and convicted racists. I have stood up to cancel culture for the last 5 years, even longer. I stood up for those wrongly accused whose lives were ruined over the same things, either imagined crimes of their past or one wrong word spoken, or a joke made on Twitter like Gina Carano, who was fired for joking about COVID and pronouns. But why is it always on MAGA to take the high road? Imagine if a prominent left-leaning influencer of Charlie Kirk's stature, they don't have one, but let's say they did, was assassinated at a rally. Millions would pour into the streets all over the world. MAGA can't. Why? Because they'd be once again demonized as dangerous extremists. Their right to protest was eliminated after January 6th. Imagine if, in 2015, the right had done this to Democrats.
Something that the president was really proud of in his campaign was that it was self-funded and that he had a lot of small...
Oh, nice.
I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
I'm sorry. I'm fine.
Is that spit?
Are you serious? I'm fine. Sorry. I'm sorry that happened.
It's not how it really, that's not how people really feel. That's f***ing disrespectful. But on the other hand, that shit is disrespectful as fuck too.
Sorry.
So there's a difference.
Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
I respect your opinion.
I didn't do that.
Now to that breaking news overnight, those violent clashes at Donald Trump's rally in California. You see those protesters there, they attacked Trump supporters just after Trump spoke, and ABC's Tom Yamas was there. He's on the scene now in San Jose. Good morning, Tom.
George, this was one of the most violent scenes I have ever witnessed at a Trump rally. At times, it seemed like the police had no control of the situation. People were getting beat up right in front of them. And these were not clashes. These were pure attacks. Trump supporters, men, women, even the elderly, left this building last night and walked right into danger. Overnight, all-out brawls outside the Trump rally in San Jose, California. Trump supporters harassed, beaten, and bloodied by mobs of protesters.
They were like spitting on me and stuff.
This man says he was sucker punched, his clothes torn off his back.
7 more people just come in, start punching me. I look pretty bad.
This lone female Trump supporter tried to stand her ground. Her sign torn from her hands, her glasses ripped off, then shoved in her face. A woman wearing a Trump jersey cornered and then egged in the face. Nazis go home! Fights breaking out in the streets all over the convention.
Yes, January 6th was bad, but so were the protests when Trump was inaugurated.
A limousine set on fire as demonstrators wreaked havoc in Washington. Police had to push back the protesters so firefighters could get to the flames. A group of people carrying anarchy flags pushed over trash cans and destroyed storefront windows as they swarmed through the streets. Police fought back with pepper spray and tear gas.
We welcome visitors to our city, but we will not tolerate the destruction of our neighborhoods, and we absolutely will not tolerate violence against our police officers.
But as night fell, protesters lit a bonfire just blocks from the White House. Many demonstrators were handcuffed with zip ties and led away one by one. At least one person was taken to the hospital.
No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
Closer to home, near Mar-a-Lago, protesters wheeled a coffin to symbolize the death of democracy. And now a familiar scene outside Trump Tower in Chicago, a huge crowd of demonstrators making their voices heard. But most of the protests were peaceful. In a sign of unity, Trump protesters and supporters stood side by side in our nation's capital.
These groups that are breaking windows and things like that delegitimizes a lot of the reason the rest of us are here.
Yet it's always one group that is punished and one group that is either ignored or celebrated. Sure, you get the fake Patriot Front out in force in an attempt to continue the lie that Charlie Kirk was a fascist, but the right doesn't riot and rally and protest like the left. They can't, but also, contrary to popular belief, it's not who they are. For podcast listeners, a tweet by Daniel Berrien. So weird that Charlie Kirk was supposedly not a fascist, yet the fascists see him as a martyr. And a tweet by the Maine Wonk, Patriot Front marching through Huntington Beach, California, chanting, "Fight back, say his name, Charlie Kirk." And a tweet by Denim Raw, probably the most frustrating thing about conservatives is how so many of them are genuinely too stupid to even understand that this is hypocritical, because they genuinely cannot comprehend moral principles beyond me good, you bad. And a double tweet by Ian Jager from 2022, liberals can't stand a difference of opinion, so they will cancel you. And 2025, I'm calling on Barnes & Noble to remove all Stephen King books from their shelves after his post about Charlie Kirk. For the record, the side that shoots the guy in the neck because they don't like his opinions is the fascist side. Supporting those celebrating his death is to support fascism or extremism. But do I think Stephen King's books should have been removed? No. Do I understand why MAGA would want to use its power to pay them back? Absolutely. When the left rampaged through the cities all through the summer of 2020, leaving violence and mayhem in their wake, the media barely covered it. No one was punished for it. In fact, they were all rewarded. Anyone who criticized the protests even a little bit was canceled for it. I remember. I was there.
It's been nearly 3 weeks since Milwaukee Democrat Tim Carpenter was assaulted by protesters.
When January 6th unfolded, there was violence, just as there had been all summer. Yet only one side was demonized for it. All the American people saw for months, years after, was the January 6th footage on a loop. Even now, they bring it up as though the summer never happened. Here is Michael Knowles.
Do you know how people like Seth Moulton arrive at the conclusion that there's more right-wing political violence than left-wing political violence? They don't count the left-wing political violence. That's how. That's how they do it. They lie. They hide the left-wing political violence. The first two cases I looked up of clear left-wing political violence, trans-motivated political violence, another one regarding the transgender issue from Antifa, the left-wing organization, left-wing terror organization in America, not political violence. So that's how you get to it. We all know, because we have eyes and ears and memories, that left-wing political violence in America is much, much, much more prominent. And there's a double scandal here, because not only will the authorities not do anything about it, they won't even admit that it exists. They'll hide it.
After Biden took power, he weaponized the DOJ to go after Trump, indicting him 4 times after the Democrats impeached him twice. They tried to throw him off the ballot in several states. He defeated them all and won again, impossibly, in November. And when Trump's DOJ went after John Bolton, the left clutched pearls. How could he be using lawfare against his opponents? When does the left take any accountability for the bed they made? Ever? In theory, I don't agree with cancel culture, but I guess I don't care that much now. Not after everything I've seen them do. Not just what they did to me, but what they've done to MAGA for the past 10 years, or anyone who broke their rules. They had all of the power, and they abused that power. This is their precedent. They've never apologized to those who have been canceled, like me, like Graham Linehan, like J.K. Rowling, like Joseph Massey, like hundreds of others for making a joke or having an opinion. So cry me a river. But sure, if they all step forward and say, "We're so very sorry we canceled all of you. You are now officially uncanceled," then maybe MAGA should think about feeling bad about it. But until then, they're having to lie in the bed they made taste like victory. For podcast listeners, a tweet from Matt Taibbi. I don't see much soul-searching about the downstream effects of a generation of deplatforming. Those are the chickens I see coming home to roost. And besides, on the left, they fail upwards. If anything, they'll be celebrated for getting fired. Look at Stephen Colbert, who has now won an Emmy and will be getting a standing ovation tonight at the ceremony, and a pat on the back for condemning political assassinations, just not character assassinations. He'd never condemn those. He wouldn't have a career. As they gather at the Emmys tonight to hand each other gold statues none of them really deserve, they will all pretend for one more night that they're the good guys, as a heartbroken MAGA gathers at the Kennedy Center to honor Charlie Kirk, something they will see as a desecration. They probably think it will be a Nazi rally. Instead, they might be surprised to find them honoring Charlie the best way they know how, by praying.
In the book of Corinthians, Paul said, "Therefore we are always of good courage, and know that while we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. We are of good courage, I say, and prefer to rather be absent from the body and be home with the Lord." Ultimately, for every one of us, the time that we have in this world is temporary. Our time will come, sooner or later. And so the critical question that we have for ourselves is, whatever time we have, what are we doing with it? How are we making the most of every day that we have? And Charlie Kirk, every single day, carried out his mission, motivated by his faith in Jesus Christ and his unwavering dedication to defending our God-given freedoms enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights.
I met Charlie for the first time in July of 2001. I went on his podcast, and I think we approached each other with a lot of trepidation at that time, but by the end of the podcast, we were soulmates, we were spiritual brothers, and we were friends. And over the next couple of years, our friendship blossomed. He ended up being the primary architect of my unification with President Trump, which I did my endorsement at his rally, at the Turning Point rally in Scottsdale. And he was the one who put the sparklers on the stage when I shook it. When my brother David died, I had a conversation with my mother, who had been through more than her share of loss and tragedy. And I asked her, does the hole that they leave in you when they die, does it ever get any smaller? And she said, no, it never gets any smaller. And I had a conversation once with Charlie where we were talking about the danger that we both faced from challenging entrenched interests. And he asked me if I was scared to die. And I said to him, there's a lot worse things than dying. And one of those... And chief among those is losing our constitutional rights and having our children raised in slavery. And I said to him at that time, I said, sometimes our only consolation is that we can die with our boots on. We can die fighting for these things. Charlie gave his life so that the rest of us would not have to suffer those fates worse than death. Now it's our job, he's no longer there to lead us, to rush in and fill the breach and win this battle for our country, for God, and for our families. Thank you.
They won't be able to avoid thinking about Charlie Kirk at the Emmys. They'll pretend to care about cancel culture because the worm has finally turned. But his death, that brutal public execution, has embedded itself in our culture, yes, even on the left. Sooner or later, they will have to confront the truth about who Charlie Kirk really was. Because even in the afterlife, he still knows how to encourage people to question their core beliefs with amazing grace. Thank you for listening to my podcast, sashastone.com. I hope you had a great weekend, and remember, to thine own self be true.
I remember the silence when the news fell like rain. The weight of your leaving carved a mark, left a name. In the whispers of the morning, in the breaking of the dawn, your voice is still echoing, though your body's gone. You carried the fire through the darkest of nights, a lantern of truth burning steady and bright. And though we are standing in the shadow of loss, your journey reminds us to carry the cross. And I swear I can hear you in the wind when it sings, in the hush of the evening, in the rustle of wings. Though you've taken your bow, the curtain won't close, for the seeds of your life keep on learning and grow. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, your story lives on, like a hymn in the valley, like the rise of the dawn. The angels are singing, but
we're holding the song. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you were never gone. You taught us of courage, you taught us of fight, of standing for truth when the world hides the light. Your laughter still lingers in the hearts you have touched, a spirit unbroken, a soul loved so much. The road feels much longer without you beside, but heaven gained home when the earth said goodbye. And though we are aching, we'll honor your flame, for lives like yours never die in vain. And I swear I can feel you in the calm of the rain, in the hearts of the people who will never be the same. Your echo is steady, it will never fade thin. Every ending is just where forever begins. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, your story lives on, like a hymn in the valley, like the rise of the dawn. The angels are singing, but we're holding the song. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you were never gone. So we'll carry your memory like a candle in the storm, a light for the weary, a place to stay warm. And when we are broken, your words will remain, a comfort, a blessing, like sweet summer rain. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you're etched in our skies, like the stars that remind us love never dies. The angels are singing, and we'll sing along. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, forever our song.